So Ryan, with them bringing back the same tire from November last year, I was curious, what are your thoughts on that tire heading into this weekend and I guess only just having one option as opposed to two different sets?
Well, I think traditionally I agree with only having one you know one tire. I think until recently, most forms of motorsports has always just been one compound, right? I think for me, I'm okay with it. And I also think the improvements that Goodyear has done and continues to do on the short track tire. I mean, you look at Martinsville. How many years has it been since we've had an outside that prevails on a restart, right? We don't need a second option to do that. Now, from the strategy standpoint, if you have a tire that's a little bit better and it can get you off cycle, that sometimes can be interesting, and nice. But you could also do the same thing if you change lengths or other things to create different strategies rather than having a straight up race of, hey, we need to pit now. Yeah, I'm okay with, and I like the fact that we're going to bring a tire that in 90 or so laps, if you or 100 laps, if you beat on it, it's you're going to pay the price. And I think if we continue to go down that avenue and trying to keep getting even more and more aggressive, it's only going to be better and better.
Martinsville is a track that demands patience and precision. How do you feel about your chances this weekend, and what is your mindset heading into the race?
I feel like our chances are good. I feel like over the past few years we've qualified really well at Martinsville, and especially with this tire, I think it's something that I'm looking forward to. Things that I could definitely do better, and hopefully go and do those things on Sunday. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Just being my background of short track racing, and I've had success at Martinsville, not in the Cup Series, but in modifieds, and obviously this form of racing suits my style.
Ryan, are now 6 weeks into the season under the RFK banner with Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher. Tell me how recently, with the great finishes you've been throwing in, how have you felt under that RFK banner, and how have you felt like becoming the main third driver for the team now?
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed my time for sure, and something that I really reflect on is the fact that Chris and Brad have a lot of experience, and mile and a half has kind of been the kryptonite side of things, for me, at least how I feel when I show up. So being able to lean on Brad and being able to lean on Chris for that, and obviously we've shown improvements there. So yeah, other than that, I mean, it's been great. It's just been great. I've really enjoyed it, and continuing to grow and perform better. At the end of the day, racing's a performance sport, right? We want to win races. We want to be consistent. I think right now, what makes me feel really good is outside of the first three races, we've made a lot of gains, and we are building a strong foundation overall within the group. So, hopefully we can keep pushing and pulling all together and really, make us a powerhouse.
You say outside the first three races, but Daytona, you were fast too. I mean, Daytona is Daytona, but you were fast. I remember you talking about the speed you had in your car. You were happy there too.
Yeah, I mean, you take away, the finish of Daytona and even Coda, to be honest with you, I thought we were going to end up top 10 there. We've been we've shown some really good signs, so very promising.
All right, let's go to Zach Sterniello. Hello, Zach.
Hey guys, Ryan, I'm curious as you head into a track that you've enjoyed so much success at personally, coming off the heels of these top 10 runs, I imagine you've got to feel like momentum is on your guys' side. How does that change the attitude that you come into Martinsville with?
So for me, what I've liked about it is we've been aggressive on pit calls, aggressive on the track, aggressive everything. And that's what I want to keep going for our group. As far as the momentum side, momentum's great to have. It's great to have because, when you look at the metric for qualifying, and I think of Martinsville, I think of a track that the later you go, the better off it's going to be, historically. So the fact that we're within one of the last 10 cars gives us a great opportunity to have a great start to the race. So that makes me feel pretty good. But I also understand every week this is a grind. This is a grind of continuing that momentum. So we're still a new team. We're still a group that it's a brand new group, and we are still finding our way. So as far as short tracks go, obviously we ran Bowman Gray and we made the race and finished 11th, but I feel really comfortable with it, and we're gonna hopefully unload with some really good speed and be able to keep building the short track notebook that we all want to have. So I think that's where, for myself, I want to keep it all in perspective. I do feel like if we unload with a bunch of speed, yeah, we can go win that race. But at the very least, you got to manage expectations. My goal for the first third of this season is, if you have the opportunity to win the race, you need to go win that race. If you don't, we need to consistently be doing what we're doing, which is being there in the top 12 and executing our days to have better days. I felt like at Homestead we qualified not very well and drove our way up into the top 12, and then we managed ourselves to get a ninth. And those are the things we need to do as a group right now, and then just keep building that notebook.
Thank you. I'm Chopper Motorsports Today. Hi, Ryan. I want to go back to Vegas 2 weeks ago when Josh Berry won. You guys obviously have a lot of parallels in your careers, both starting out as short track guys and then obviously being teammates at SHR last season. So what I'm wondering, have you talked to Josh since then? And regardless of whether that's the case, how much more does it add pressure on you potentially to get into victory lane yourself?
Yeah, I don't think it adds pressure. I did talk to Josh, and I congratulated him, and I was really happy for him. I think the situation was right there, just like I said to you a second ago, or I said here a second ago, is when you have those opportunities and you have that speed, you need to capitalize on it. And I think, Josh did a great job of it when he had an opportunity on the front row, and he didn't let that opportunity slip away. So when that opportunity, is there, you need to grab it. And that's really, hopefully the more consistent we run where we are, we'll have those opportunities to go do that. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm feeling pretty, I don't want to say I'm 100% of where I am, but I couldn't have asked more as far as, how the first three races resulted versus how we turned it around at Phoenix and had an opportunity to go, I felt like, win that race by saving the option set and having that lead. I felt like that just kind of put the little bit of life that we needed at the point we needed it. And we've carried it since. So yeah, all eyes are on Martinsville now.
I heard you on your pit crew stop after they pulled off an incredible pit stop. I watched it more than once. It was so good. And watched a video of it. You called them gangsters, and it was so cool because they were high-fiving, and they really are very fast. Talk about your pit crew and how good they are. How did you know that they were going to be good when you came into RFK? What are you discovering? And then how much does it mean for Martinsville?
So, yeah, I mean, when I say gang, that's just something I say, but they're badass.
Yeah,
I was proud.
It was good.
Yeah, I was proud of them because I'm here every Wednesday, and I enjoy doing pit practice with those guys. And for me, I just do it as like a camaraderie, team building, and I know the level of effort and what I put into my racing. And what I enjoy is seeing the grind that those guys have, the want to win, right? And the will to win. So I just, we're going to have our moments. Don't get me wrong. Like, nobody's perfect. So they're going to have a day or a time that it's just not, it might be a struggle, but I'm going to support them, whether they're having good times or bad times. And, I want to praise them when they're doing doing days like they did at Homestead. So just, as far as the team, the pit crew side, knowing they were going to be good, that's not me. I feel like Brad and Jack and RFK, the Fenway group, everybody here has done a phenomenal job in giving me, every great opportunity I can have. So really, really appreciative for the group we have right now and the things that we're building on.
Hi there. Hey, Ryan. Thanks for joining us today. I want to fast forward to next week as we go into Darlington. And what is your mindset? I mean, that is a driver's racetrack where it's just a long, hot day, a lot of slipping and sliding. So what is your perspective as you go into Darlington, and what is the outcome you think you and the 60 team may have there?
Well, I'm definitely, I say this to my father. I say this to a lot of people that know me, is I live day to day and a week at a time. So as far as Darlington goes, I haven't even started really analyzing or looking at it, other than the fact that I know that Chris was super fast and Brad was super fast and they won, right? So, I feel good about all the things that they've done as an organization. And, I feel like our group is going to be able to really heavily lean on both of those. And yeah, I mean, when Monday comes, I'll be all eyes on it. But Darlington is a place that I've always enjoyed racing. And, I felt like, I can't even remember where we ended up. I think we ended up 9th in the fall race, maybe, or 10th, or somewhere around there. I don't know. I might be completely off, but I felt like we ran pretty well. And, that makes me excited going into this weekend or next weekend.
A couple weeks ago, you spoke to us about the team and what you see from the team. And you said that you see a will to win from this team. And then on Sunday over the radio, there was talk of, hey guys, expect to win. So yep. Has the confidence and attitude been shifting the last couple weeks with how well you guys have been running?
I think Derek's done a great job of managing the group, and really, because it's a new group. There's a few guys that have been around for a long time within the road crew, but as far as experience and completely new guys, there is a wide variety. So I think for Derek, which I'll give him a lot of credit for, is teaching and instilling this mindset in guys that haven't ever had the opportunity to race for wins, and telling them, expect to try and win every given Sunday. I have that mindset. I've had that mindset my entire life, because that's all I've, done, other than in the Cup Series. There's been some struggles there, but anything outside of that, it's, you show up to the racetrack expecting to win. So yeah, I think the mindset of expect to win and run well is a mindset that Derek's trying to instill in this group. And I'll give him a lot of credit, because the attitude of them all, really, I think it's just RFK in general is the push for, you don't want to say, anyway, yeah, you do, the push for perfection. So that's what we're doing. I mean, there's just a lot of want to win or will to win. And that's the thing. Like, it's kind of like my Cup or my racing career, right? I could have gave up chasing after this dream back in like 2014 or whatever, but it's like, there's a piece inside of you that's just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and be relentless. And that's this group.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for joining us today. Yesterday, I was listening to an interview with Chase Briscoe, and he was asked about the move to JGR and what he's noticed about how things are done differently than SHR. And he said at JGR, they made him aware of things that he honestly didn't even know he was struggling at. And he gave the example of the entry gap on pit road and how far you are away from the car in front of you as you get to the pit road speed line. He talked about in the past, he was 29th to 30th on average and didn't even know about it because he had never seen those kind of analytics. Now he says he's around 4th or 5th. So I'm curious for you, if you've had a similar experience at RFK of learning things about your performance that you didn't necessarily focus on before.
Yeah, I would say there's been some moments and some sit downs of talking about I think that's really what I referenced to about, areas to focus on. And that's been something that I've been diving deep into, and certainly, I think it's paying dividends. So yeah, I'm really thankful for my time here, and the things that I'm learning and continuing to push to be better.
As a guy that's spent a lot of time racing half miles over your life and career, I'm curious, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like short track racing has always kind of been short track racing, whether it's late model modified, Xfinity car, the old Cup car. Has the next gen in any way, in your experience, kind of fundamentally changed the racecraft of half mile short track racing at all?
I think it's gotten closer, in my opinion. I know there's some louder voices that talked about the next gen car and the aero inefficiencies or some of those things. But what I truly believe is the fact that Goodyear has really been working hard on softening this tire and wearing this tire. And, when I watched the Martinsville race in October, I mean, it was, when I rewatched it this week, how many, I said it before, of how many times did on the old car, the outside prevail over the bottom car? Not very often, because the inside was such an advantage with some of the things that you were dealing with the other deal. And it could be frustrating where, if you're in a different series, I mean, you always felt like there was opportunity. So I feel like our short track product is only going to continue to get better, especially after what I felt like we saw, with with Martinsville in the fall, and really the trajectory that I feel like we're trying to go into for Richmond, and all those things will pay off if we can continue that for a place like New Hampshire, so, or Wilkesboro, and and continue on. But those type of things don't happen overnight. And I feel like the fact that we're trying to make changes, and they're positive changes, and it's all really good stuff, and it's only going to pay dividends to the race fans, because, and this is my opinion, I don't think going to a smaller tire is going to make a difference. I think that you're always going to have your challenges, right? So I'm always a fan of more horsepower, like, no matter what, because it just gives me more opportunity, or more opportunity for whether making good decisions, or doing something right, or even making mistakes, right? You want to be able to capitalize on when people make mistakes. And so yeah, I hope that kind of answers your question. I kind of got long-winded there, but I'm a fan of the direction we're going. And and one thing else I wanted to bring up is, I mean, we talk about aero stuff all the time, right? And how short track stuff, but you go to a Pensacola and a super late model, aero is a thing. Like, it's a thing no matter what. Whether I race a modified, a super late model, it doesn't matter. You're going freaking fast, and it's just, it is what it is. So it's not only us, in the Cup Series or Xfinity Series or trucks or whatever, that we see it. We just have really, really smart people in our garage that know how to maximize.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue for where I was trying to go with that with my follow-up. Goodyear says, though, that we're kind of approaching a point to where this is as far as we can go. They've been saying that for a while, though, and they seem to get further and further anyway. But I'm curious, like, can we get fully to where, I think we all want to be in a place like Xfinity is, right? When you watch a race at Martinsville in the Xfinity Series, that's where we want Cup to be. Can we get there purely through the tire, you think?
I don't even think the Xfinity Series racing, at Martinsville is that great. I just see guys knocking each other out of the way. That's it. I don't think that's racing. I can go to a local go-kart track and knock a guy out of the way and do the same damn thing. I find that the next gen car, it takes, if you smash a guy, you're not going to you can't stick your nose under the guy like you can in those cars. But as far as what you were talking about with Goodyear saying that we're getting to a point, and maybe we are. But at the same time, in the early 2000s, when we had ride height rules and guys started to figure out coil binding on how to put the car on the ground and have an aero advantage once you got on the racetrack, like those are all things that we thought weren't possible until we figure out that they are. So that's the thing about racing. It's constant innovation and progression and figuring out things that you didn't think were possible. So that's the exciting thing that we have to look forward to, in our sport.
Ryan, appreciate the time. In this day and age, drivers have more primary sponsors than probably ever before. And so there's probably more demands placed on your time in terms of getting pulled in different directions. What is it like now when you have so many different primary sponsors to kind of serve in terms of time constraints and what it means for you?
Well, that's part of my job. I think what I tell people all the time is, for those that don't know, my father has a small family business in Connecticut. I think there's 10 employees there, and they're plumbers and HVAC. And as I was growing up, I used to either in the summer, I worked a summer job, either being a tin knocker, making ductwork, or in the winter, we'd go on rooftops. And I'll tell you what, going and doing sponsorship events and things of that nature are a hell of a lot better than sweating in an attic or freezing on a roof. So I guess to put it in perspective is, it's part of my job. And, the racing part on Sunday and the prep work and all that, that's just all part of the job description. It's like, it's not a 40-hour week. My family and my wife support me, and they understand that there's a lot of commitments to this and obviously a lot of benefits. So I deal with it fine because, I'm the type of person that even when I was racing in Connecticut, my life revolved around racing and there was no such thing as, well, I only want to spend 2 hours here because I want to go home. It was, no, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And part of winning is having great partners and that's part of it. So to me, it's no different than normal. It's just doing something a little different.
And have you seen it shift over your kind of time in NASCAR where there's even more because there's, teams have now so many primary sponsors in their car that there's even more demands placed on your time?
I feel like maybe for guys that were 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. But for me, no. I've always felt like I'm always doing something. So it's no different for me.